So I just want to tell you a little story about somebody called Tony Parsons.
Who is he?
Tony Parsons, who was a crap sea couple. Really awful. When he was young, he sort of got the feeling that when he was about 6 or 7 years old, he got the feeling that God, if God was any good at all, he would be in everything. He wouldn't be just in the church or anywhere. He'd be in everything. He must be everywhere. So later on, when he's about 20 or 19, he tried to become a Christian. And that's when he got, well, at school, of course he went to school. He wouldn't believe it. And he did lessons, and then when the exam results came, he'd always said at the bottom he could do better. So then he sort of went for Christianity and tried to become a Christian. And that's when he got his second list. The first list was with the exams and lessons and all that. And the second list he got was when he went to a priest and said he'd like to become a Christian. So the priest taught him and gave him a list of things to do. There was a list of things to do, but a much bigger list of things not to do. Which he thought, oh. Anyway, there was a sense somewhere also that Jesus was trying to say something more than a dogma. He was trying to say something that was beyond the normal teaching. That's why Tony Parsons tried to become a Christian. Anyway, there was this list which he tried to follow for a year or two. And also went to a priest in London, because this was a Protestant Catholic sort of upbringing. It wasn't Catholic, but it was a high English church teaching that this was going on. And he used to go to a priest in London. And one evening I went to this priest in London, and he said, now I have to tell you something sort of, that the priests have been advising young men about for years to do with sex. I thought, well, this is going to be exciting. And he said, so what we're advising young men is that they shouldn't walk around or stand around with their hands in their pockets. And I thought, well, what's this about? And he sort of tried to say, you might start playing with me. And I thought, well, that's funny, because I've been walking around with my hand in my pocket for years. And one of my pockets has got a hole in it. And it's quite a big hole. So really my sense was that somewhere this wasn't it. I was trying to be told what to do, and this sort of broke the mold. Somewhere this wasn't, it didn't work for me. And so I then went on to somebody called Uspensky, all that lot, maybe you've heard of. And again I started reading about that, and I used to go to a Gurdjieff school in England. But again, I was being given another list of things, more to do with emotions and intellectual centres and all this. It's very complicated, these things. But here's another list. Here's another way I should be. And so I quickly discarded that. And for some years I thought it wasn't belonging to anything in particular. And then I joined the Osho movement, and I became I moved into the commune, became a communist, and was in that for a year or 2 or 3. But again, I was still being given a list. And although I loved Osho, there was something outrageous and sort of naughty about him. And he also told lovely, dirty jokes about that. He was certainly much better than his priest. Somewhere even that, I still felt I was trying to fit in with something, and I was still being told that I could do better. I mean, the priest told me I could do better, and the Uspensky school told me he could do better. And also, the Osho thing was about doing, in the end, meditating more or being more total or whatever. So then I moved away from all of that there was a recognition somewhere that I wasn't very good at seeking. There was nothing. I was a failure as a seeker. So then, later on, I was living in Wiltshire and with Claire, and then I tried to write a big book about the meaning of life, which was ridiculous. I realised that, and I threw this book away and went and played golf for a year. I just forgot about the whole idea of writing a book or communicating anything at all. And then what was strange was, I was lying in bed with Claire one night. And suddenly something arose. Something to write, and I rushed downstairs, and I got this absolutely simple thing. There was something very simple about what came into my head about writing something, and out of that came The End Secret book, which is a very simple book in a way. And so, what came out of that really, what began to become apparent, and I started to speak to people, and then it fell into place, was that actually what I was doing has nothing to do with Tony Parsons at all. There's no way that this has anything to do with me being better or changing or being more pure. Certainly not being more pure. That was one of the last things I did. But somewhere there was some recognition that what I was looking for was completely beyond any sort of effort or achievement. It was something that was not even given, really. It wasn't that there was something else that gave it to me. It was that simply the whole idea that there was someone here who had to find something simply collapsed. And there was nothing left but what is, which was amazing in a sense. And yet, I have to say that the final thing, the final end of Tony Parsons' story I was telling you, was not dramatic. It wasn't dramatic. It was just very simple and natural. Simply and naturally, there is no one. There only is what is. So I hope you enjoyed it.
that that guy you were talking about was a perfectly good seeker, just not a very good finder.
Well, not, yeah, but the lazy seeker, not. I mean, part of what I was telling the story about is seeking.
Yes.
The argument is that the more you seek, or the better you seek, the more you find, or that in some way or other seeking has an influence. But this was found not through seeking, or it happened not through seeking or being a good seeker.
Ultimately finding
nothing
out.
to do with
Ultimately finding out that what was sought was already always the case.
It's just a short two words.
nobody knows that nobody is. Is that so? Nobody knows that nobody is.
Yeah, I could say that.
But again, some people, I think I heard you and other people saying that there may be a call coming to you after these meetings, and some guys who are sitting in these meetings say, like I got it. So is this really possible?
No, not I got it.
What is it then?
Something's happened that I can't tell you even.
Something has happened.
But I can't even describe to you, Tony.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's indescribable.
Okay. Thank you.
And I mean, what I told that story to say that the realization in the end was that the idea that there's a seeker and something called enlightenment that can happen is a complete fallacy. That's what became obvious at the end of that story I just mentioned. Therefore, what then, the falling away of me brings something that is unknowable and indescribable. Nobody can describe it.
Okay.
But it's very simple, in a way it's very simple and ordinary and natural.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with Tony Parsons or anyone else, or what was apparently Tony Parsons. And had nothing to do with what the apparent Tony Parsons was trying to do or trying to find.
And nothing to do with finding out, but with being.
Sorry?
It has nothing to do with finding out and
No,
something,
nothing.
it's like
And the
being.
more Tony Parsons tried to find, the less possible it was, the more hidden it became, because I was overlaying it with the effort to try and find.
And once I think, I remember you said to me, no amness. No amness.
Well, there is a theory or there is a certain process that I think Mr. Gaddafi suggested to be in the I am.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I'm concerned, it's just another process, because there is no I
Yeah.
to be am.
Right. I was thinking about this often, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seeking a nonsense because the child already knows the truth.
Yeah. Yes, it is, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with seeking. Seeking is just another expression of wholeness, arising as an energetic feeling of separation, which is seeking to come come home. The me can't do anything other than seek. The whole function of me is a sense of separation which creates seeking. And me lives in a subject-object reality. It's an artificial reality in which the me is the subject and the object is what it's looking for. It's not right or wrong, it just is inevitably happening until the me collapses.
That basically means remembering what was there when the child was a child.
Well, yeah, in the sense we are sitting here trying to remember childlike wonder or boundlessness. You can't make yourself remember it, but that's where this comes from. That's why actually in this room there's an inherent recognition that all there is this.
Thank you.
Is it that we lie to our kids?
That's the
Where is the limit? I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they know already everything?
well, by now when they're 3, they've begun to be separate. It's a very early age that apparently the brain sophisticates enough to see out of the body and presume that the world it sees outside is separate, and then it creates or constructs an artificial energy called me, which it does in order to protect itself from what it thinks is a threatening world. So the whole nature of me is artificial because it's based on a falsehood, and that is that the world is separate.
Okay.
But by the time they're 3, that's already happened. And there's still a sense of it somewhere. Even as they get older, there's still a sense of beingness.
Okay, I have another question. I'm a psychotherapist and I meet every day people with pain and all these kind of stories. And I'm also identified, and they are also identified with their stories. Is this like a movie play? Is it scripted? They need to go through this.
Me is in motion, yeah, and you could call it in a film, but me is in continual motion,
Okay.
experiencing one experience after another. It's an artificial reality.
And the thinking reports all of this.
Yeah, well, yes, it only reports it. But separation isn't a thought or an idea. It's an energetic feeling which brings about experiences which are thought about. And of course, one of the ideas me has is that it can make its story better. Hence, it goes to a therapist. Try and make the story.
I had thinking, feeling, acting. It's not like that. It's like that we feel something and the thinking reports it. It's not that the thought creates this feeling.
No, not at all.
There is a feeling and the thought says, here's
Just report.
anxiety or something.
Makes a report on it.
Report.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, the thing about it is that the me energy possesses whatever is happening, like a feeling or a thought or anything. It takes possession of everything. It's like a businessman that collects. It's very sticky, and everything that happens sticks to it.
Okay. And all these teachings, what I did.
Well, all
Make
the
no sense.
teachings are to try and help the person either have a better story or become enlightened. Both of those ideas are futile and are just out of a fantasy. The fantasy of trying to make your life better, it might be better for a little while, but it will never be satisfying because there's one thing that's at the root of it, and that is separation. Even though me might be satisfied for a little while in the relationship or whatever, underneath that there's the root of dissatisfaction, which is created by the energy of being separate.
Okay. Then it means, sorry, I talk to the client, talking is happening, and the me says, you did this.
Me says,
You need to help this person,
Yeah.
or you do.
yeah.
there's nothing to do with me.
No, there's nothing to do with
Just
you.
talking, people coming and going. And
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
But of course, underneath that is the motivation to help someone, which is also based on the misconception that there's someone here who's real, who can help somebody else who's real. That's the misconception. There is that problem for me is that it thinks everything is real, including itself and the other person and the trees and everything. So they're a fixed, real object that can be helped. That's misguided, well, it's a misconception. It's a fantasy.
It seems like it's real, but it's interesting. I can't see it, of course.
No, me can't see that, of course not. Me's in the dream of being a real person.
And how do you see us?
I don't
Bodies?
I see bodies.
Bodies,
There's
not-
bodies here. Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes the bodies stand up and claim to be me.
That
That will say that if you have a thought, it's not provoking feeling.
No, usually experience, thought is a recording or a report of a feeling. Not always, but it doesn't matter because both come out of no thing. No thing is the source of everything. So feelings and thoughts come out of no thing. And then they can stick to me and me takes possession of them.
So
It's
they
possible that a thought will come and bring an emotion, or an
Okay.
emotion will come and bring a thought.
Okay.
But
They
they're
can
both
be
parts
connected.
they're part of the story.
Okay. And could you say something about these beliefs, like if you think very much of something, then it will realize?
It's another part of
itself?
the
The story.
illusion of being in the story.
Okay.
And thinking that in some way or other, me can manipulate reality. Actually, it can't because it's completely helpless.
So we can drop it away.
And of course, it's based on the idea that me has free will and choice, which is another illusion,
Yes.
which is neuroscientists have now established. There's no such thing as an individual with free will and choice.
Before you said that it became less available, and you sometimes say that it became less available. What you're talking about?
Less available.
Available, yeah. Like I don't know. You were trying, and it became less available, or something in those terms.
Yeah, the more I tried, the more hidden it became.
And are you saying that there's nothing anyone can do against that?
There isn't, no, it's worse than that. There isn't anyone. It's awful. This is awful. This is the worst message there is in Munich. And elsewhere, as far as the individual is concerned.
But in the story, if a person, let's say, is suffering and trying all kinds of things, and are you saying that's just what's happening,
Yeah.
and there's no one who can do anything?
No. But all there is what is apparently happening. There is no one. In this room right now, all there actually is what's happening, and it's possible there are people here who think it's happening too. That's the misconception. That's the fantasy. I am sitting on a chair. Sitting on a chair is happening to me. That's the fantasy. The problem is that people are so used to them thinking in that way that they believe it's the truth. So this is a very radical, rare message. It's always been around. It's totally radical, isn't it? It throws everything that society and people believe in on its head.
Actually, when I came on Friday and listened to you, I was a little bit shocked. Sometimes I'm a little bit shocked
Good.
because of what you're saying is that basically in society everything is pointing to the opposite. And then I was thinking, well, as soon as I go again, I'm influenced by all of this
Right, so you already planned that day. You already decided that when you left the meeting, you would be back in the...
Well, that was what I was thinking, that since what's happened to me.
Doesn't have to. It doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to be like that. You could die here. And then when you go out, there's no one there. That's happened. People die. Me die. That's what this is about. It's about the loss of something.
What I don't understand is that something which is not real, how can it have such a power over consciousness or whatsoever?
Well, now, something to be clear about when you say something that is not what
something is not the me.
The me thinks it's real, and it's real and unreal, like everything else.
And so how can it get such a power? It must be
He doesn't have any power at all. All of this that comes out of me is completely and utterly meaningless and pointless. The me that thinks it creates the world and churches and empires and computers and all our washing machines and marmalade, the me that thinks it created that doesn't create any of it. It happens without me. Me is completely unnecessary. It's a totally useless bit of added software. But it thinks it's got the most amazing arrogance because it thinks that nothing can happen without it. It's unbelievable. Everything happens without it. And when it happens, me takes possession of it, believes that it's the creator of it. It's a madness. We're talking about we're exposed, we're illuminating together a madness. It seems powerful, but it has no power. There's nothing appearing as this. It's the, me, separation, and all of that I've just described. It's simply wholeness appearing as that. It's the appearance of wholeness. It's playing a game called pretending to be me.
It's like playing two. One is me, and one is the one who experienced it.
And
one is the me with his story, and one is the one who experienced this weird me. It's like a schizophrenic story of
me is schizophrenic. Mildly usually, but it is schizophrenic. It's living in an apparent me world, but it knows that there's a sense of another world in that. The whole of this manifestation is simply what is. And me longs for what is, but can't find it, because it's always looking for what will be, not what is. So it lives in what it longs for and ignores it completely. Try it, it's looking for something else. The problem for me in a way is that it's always looking for something in everything.
Totally not thinking this
It's looking for an object in the wholeness which it longs for. So what it looks for remains hidden by being everything already. It's this. It's what's happening. It's this. What you long for is this. It's already here, this. Doesn't matter where you go, there'll always be this. There'll always be what is. What is all there is. And what you're looking for is what is. It's already here. Isn't that amazing?
So it's a negation feeding. It's a negation of what is feeding.
Me can only reject this message. It doesn't, there's no way that me can ever hear this message. It never can accept it, can't hear what it's saying. Because it lives in hope for what will be. So it constantly rejects this. This is the cornerstone it's always rejected. It's sent into a dogma or belief, Christianity.
How can you reject?
Sorry.
How can you reject?
Well, there is no me.
Yeah.
But in the end, there's nothing appearing as me rejecting.
Yeah. It's
It's
not
all
possible.
wrong, it's just apparently happened.
There's no way out, no way in.
There's no way, there's no escape, there's no hope.
Okay.
some instances.
Sorry, when
Some
the me and the me.
When the artificial construction of me has collapsed, which seems to happen.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently. There are there are examples where the me in a way comes back. What does the me think of its own collapse?
So what can happen is that if there's an opening to this, there can be a glimpse, what's called a glimpse. And in a way there's a seeker moving along looking for something, and suddenly there's nothing. There's no seeker, there's nothing, there's no thing. It just is the infinite. And then the seeker seems to come out of the other side and still be around. Rather diminished, but still seeking. So what the seeker then, well, this is what happened to Tony Parsons. He was walking along in a park and then wasn't anything, and then came out of the other side, then wanting that thing where he wasn't there, and not knowing how to find that. And so the sense here, what seemed to happen was that Tony Parsons, the seeker, the more diminished me, wanted to be in that, but couldn't find a way to get into that, and thought it had to still do something to itself to be worthy of that, which kept it going on the search. And also felt that happened in another way, although it was amazing, was also a sort of curse, because it seemed like there was nothing else as amazing as that home. So that's what we think. That's what this means apparently. Until finally everything collapsed and there was nothing left. And then it was recognized at that point, which I call, for want of a better word, liberation. It was recognized that none of that actually ever happened.
Where did the park incident fit into the story of Tony's
seeking
Only
through
it was in a way it was the park.
yeah, but chronologically, so
Oh, well, I was a bit younger than I am now.
after the threefold search or whatever, the ending.
No, I was about
as
21
told.
when this happened. So just after I'd given up the Christianity.
So in between step 1 and step 2.
Oh. No, there weren't any steps, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but it fits with fairy tale truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, 3 strikes you're out, or whatever.
Yeah.
And this seeker found in each case that approach was wanting.
Yeah. And in the end, it was recognised there was nothing to it.
Of course.
And nobody to it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like Rumi says, when you come back home,
Yeah.
that's where.
Yeah. And also, I think when he says, I went to a shop that was empty and I stayed there. I went to a shop where there was nothing for sale and I stayed. Was it really or? I went to a shop where there was nothing for sale and I stayed there.
And I stayed there. Isn't there?
Well, don't take that too literally.
It's poetry.
There's
It's
no
only-
line to stay anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I meant. There's never landing.
Yeah, but it's a pointing to something. It's
Oh,
not
it's sweet.
exactly- If you're very pedantic with this, you're getting locked into words and you'll never get anywhere. All words mislead.
And yeah.